Our next guest is here with what wasn't said at the summit. Rather, more about their body language. Here with us now is body language expert Susan Constantine. Susan, welcome. I've been looking forward to our discussion. Thanks for coming on.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me on.
I'm going to start from the very beginning. That initial meeting, that first handshake between President Trump and Putin that was caught on camera. There it is. They're going to shake hands momentarily. What did you see from this initial greeting when it came to their body language? You see the president clapping as Putin approaches him.
Sure. I mean, he was excited to see Putin. There was no doubt about that. And then so he stays on the red carpet. Putin actually does like a brisk walk right up to President Trump. He's already got his hand extended, but you'll notice that President Trump put his hand out with palms up, friendship, disarming, welcoming. But then he does a wrist maneuver. And you didn't even see it because he pulled him in and he also twisted his wrist so they both were on the same playing ground. They both did the same identical forearm grip, which is a friendship grip. President Trump is a connector. So you see him actually pats the top of his hand afterwards. And so that is his way of saying that he likes him, that there was a friendship there.
This is so fascinating. Let's compare that one to the final handshake at the end of the summit. What are some of the differences you picked up on, Susan, between the before and the after?
Well, we're not seeing it here, but we're looking at them just having a discussion. But what I found here was that President Trump is attentive. When you shift your body language towards the person who is speaking, you're giving them, you're stating that I'm validating you, I'm hearing you. So when President Trump and Putin, when they finished up, and right here they're going to do a handshake. Now it looks to see what he did again. See, he does the palms up. He does this strategically because it's a form of disarming. A lot of times body language experts will say, well, he's very submissive. That's not the case here. He is doing that purposefully. That is his strategic maneuver to let Putin know he's in control, he's in power. It's a power move. But then he shifts his hand, the wrist, it gets changed, so they're both on same playing ground. So it is really fascinating. Everything that I saw play out, it was amazing. I wish I had more time to talk about every single move.
Yeah, me too. What did you make of the posture that both Trump and Putin had as they met on the tarmac, Susan?
Well, with President Trump, of course, he was standing on the tarmac, so he's actually landed on his own property, right? So, and then we see Putin when he's walking up, he doesn't walk on to the red carpet. He doesn't do that at first. He extends his arm. So when we're looking at posturing, we see a power posture right here. He's strategically aligned. His body language is powerful. He's also disarmed because he keeps his hands at his sides. He's clapping as if, he's meeting someone that he's been wanting to see for a long time. But also we see Putin, he doesn't change his posture. He's in a power posture. And they're not large and big where they're controlling one another. There is a resonation about the two of them in respect, not overplayed, just perfectly strategically expressed as in a friendship and also a meeting of minds.
Let's get into the specific parts of the presser, starting with Putin. He flattered Trump a bit. He compared him to President Biden. I want to listen to the English translation and then get your take on the other side of what you made of the comment.
I tried to convince my previous American colleague that the situation should not be brought to the point of no return when it would come to hostilities. And I said it quite directly back then that it's a big mistake. Today, when President Trump saying that if he was the president back then, there will be no war. And I'm quite sure that it would indeed be so. I can confirm that.
Oh, that's a huge compliment. What did you make of Trump's reaction to that or lack thereof?
Well, he loves compliments. Come on, President Trump loves the compliments. But here's one thing that you probably didn't pick up on some of them is that what I call beat gestures. So these are affirmations. When he's saying that we probably wouldn't have had a war, he is actually punctuating his head and affirmation. So when we're looking at that, I'm looking at beat gestures. Exactly on the word. So he believes it. So he wouldn't, if he didn't believe it, that first of all, that his head would have been still, or the gestures and head movements would have been offbeat. So of course, President Trump generally loves to gloat, so he gets very excited about it. But he kept a very neutral expression, which I call a Duchenne smile. That's a cordial smile. He just turned his head as if he was listening. That is a listening position, active listening position. So he really appreciated it. Also, too, when you think about listening to the tone, you can hear President Trump's tone soften. And also there is kind of a little bit of raspiness in it, in his tone. And so that is telling me that there was a lot of high emotional stress before that. It's drained him, and you actually can hear it in his tone of his voice.
One of the more interesting moments of the press conference that's getting a lot of attention this morning is Putin switching to English, inviting Trump to Moscow. Very quickly, we're going to play that clip.
Again, Mr. President, I'd like to thank you very much, and we'll speak to you very soon and probably see you again very soon. Thank you very much, Vladimir.
Next time in Moscow.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I'll get a little heat on that one, but I could see it possibly happening.
I don't see Putin laugh much. What did you make of that almost joking reaction between these two men?
Yeah, I think this was just jousting. I mean, I didn't take it too seriously, but when we saw President Trump's eyebrows raised, like, ooh, surprise, like, he was like, oh, okay. And then he also showed where his lips kind of came down like this, and that's kind of like fear when he said, I don't know how that's going to work, but, but then he just always keeps the door open. He's cordial. Again, he turned around his torso towards Putin. They're both looking at each other. And if you look at the triangle there, I thought it was a great ending of that conference.
Speaking of ending, we're going to end it there. I was so intrigued by our conversation. Susan, Constantine, thank you so much for laying that out. I really appreciate it.